Hey guys, it's Marina with Artworthy Life, where I teach Christ-centered art journaling that gets you into God's Word every day. Happy Friday, everybody. Today we're going to do an art journal page from start to finish, inspired by this month's theme, Fear Not. And we're just going to do a beautiful art journal page and include a verse that I love very much that has to do with being courageous. So before we get started, as always, let's start with that scripture, because the best place to start your day is in the Word of God. So I'm going to go ahead and read you Joshua 1 verse 9. You've probably heard this before. It's a very well-loved verse, but those kinds of verses are the ones that we can't help but hear again, and that's why we love them. Okay, so this is, like I said, Joshua 1 verse 9, and here's what it says. Have not I commanded thee? Be strong and of a good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. I love that verse. Be strong and of a good courage. What's interesting is the verse starts with a question. Have I not commanded you? We don't often think of God's commandments including things that are not like against sin, like thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness. But Jesus also commanded us to fear not. He tells us fear not. And when, your Father in heaven or your Father on earth tells you to do something, that's considered a commandment. He says, have I not commanded you? Be strong and of a good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. What's nice is he doesn't just tell us that. He also tells us why. And the reason why is because the Lord thy God is with you wherever you go. And it's just beautiful to know that he encourages us with those words. And inside the Artworthy Journal Club, we just covered another verse that says almost the same thing verbatim. And I'm just going to read it to you. And it's actually from the page that we did before, so you can see it over here. And it's very similar in message, but it's from Deuteronomy 31 verse 6, and it says, be strong and of a good courage, fear not, nor be afraid of them, for the Lord thy God, he it is that doth go with thee, he will not fail thee nor forsake thee. So almost the exact same passage, but from a different book, and same message. The reason we don't have to fear is because God is with us, and I think that's really beautiful. Alrighty, so we're going to jump right into today's painting. It's going to be an art journal page. Hey, Tammy, I'm so glad you're watching. So if you'd like to join me, go ahead and grab your watercolor page. Whether you're working out of a journal, you don't even need watercolor paper, but it works best on watercolor paper. The art supplies I'm using today is this Mozart Komorebi set. I'm going to go ahead and put on the banner what that's called. And then I like to use Master's Touch watercolor brushes, but I'm also going to be using one of my favorite brushes as of late, which is this Princeton Velvet Touch long round brush number 10, and it has a really nice fine tip, and I really love it. So that's what I'm going to use. And then the journal I'm working out of today is one we completed not too long ago in the Artworthy Journal Club, and it is a handmade book that we made during the watercolor bookbinding class. So that was a really fun class. I thoroughly enjoyed, and we each made ourselves some art journal books and a couple of different sizes. So that was really fun. But today we're just going to do some painting, and I have already created the tracer for this. So this is the tracer that I designed this morning, and if you did not get to see that episode, it's inside the free group, which is called the Art Journaling DIY group, and you can see how we designed this tracer freehand and use this little tiny stencil that we made. So if you're interested in knowing how to do some better freehand drawings, that was a really fun 15-minute Friday, and those 15-minute Fridays are exclusive inside the free Art Journaling DIY group. So you can request access to that if you just search that, or you can go to the page Artworthy Life and click groups, and you'll see it there. Alrighty, without further ado, I want to show you how to go ahead and paint this. Now this page right here is where I did all of my freehand drawing, but to get it onto the journal page without leaving a bunch of smudges, I have just taken this page and laid it over top of my journal page, and I've used what we call graphite paper or carbon paper, and this is just a little piece I've torn off, and I laid that down like this, face down on the page, and then put this over top of it and just traced it right onto the journal page. It's looking like there's a tiny bit of a delay on my camera over on the right-hand side. Can you guys tell me if that's delayed also for you guys? I'm working with new internet, so we'll see how it goes. Hi, Mary. Thanks so much for watching. So good to see you on. Hey, Daniel. Good morning. Okay, so I want to get my colors mixed up first, but I also already have a whole bunch on my palette as usual. So if you guys aren't familiar with the Komorebi watercolor set, or you don't have one, that's okay. Use what you have. Totally no problem. Mary says nope. So are you saying, Mary, there's no delay on your side? Because if so, that would be great. She says, you're welcome. Good to see you too. Oh, you're so sweet. Yeah, really fun to see you on. Tammy says, you look great on my side. Very clear. Yay! Oh, that's super good news. Thank you. Okay, so I've already traced this on here, but what I like to do when I've used graphite paper is I like to erase the darkest lines first, because those really dark pencil lines or graphite lines can sometimes just take away from your page, and we don't like that. So I'm just going to erase those really dark lines, and we're going to go ahead and jump right in with some light yellow. Now I'm going to clear myself a spot on my palette over here. I am a very not wasteful person as far as my watercolors go, so I like to leave them on my palette, which means my palette is often not like super clean and ready to go. So my apologies while I try to clean this all off. And what's nice about watercolors is they clean up so nicely in comparison to acrylics. Acrylics dry like rubber. You have to kind of scrape them off or peel them off of your palette. But watercolors just wash right off, and it's really, really nice. No delay. Looks perfect. Yay! Very clear. Okay, I'm so glad. That's great. I wasn't sure how it was going. I think it was just a little bit of a hiccup on my end. Okay, so the first color I want us to start with is the Brilliant Yellow, which is number 3. If you don't have this palette, just use whatever you have. This is a really nice happy yellow, but it's a little too happy for me. I think it's a little too loud. So I like to tone it down a little bit with Yellow Ochre, which is kind of a sunny, almost a mustard color. And then I water that down. And this page, it's going to be the same kind of brush strokes over and over and over again. And all I do is go all the way around the flower and then turn my page. So I like for the angle of the brush to be easy on my hand. Let me go ahead and switch out the way this is displaying, because I want you guys to be able to see this big. There you go. Okay, so I like to be able to pull up and away from my painting. Let me switch this around. Up and away, up and away. Okay, so this is the angle of the brush I like to have. So I'm going to keep turning my page to maintain that angle rather than like switching and going down like this. So you'll see me do that as I go, but I'm going to start with this one on the top, and I'm just starting at the bottom and pulling straight up to the outside of these petals. And then I can also keep my tracer in view right here, because a lot of times when you trace your doodle down onto the page, you can't always see where all the little details are. So you can keep your little tracer nearby to help you not lose the shape of the petals. But I just like to start off with a light yellow all the way around, and then I just follow the shape of those little petals. So far, I have not called these leaves. A lot of times when I'm painting, for whatever reason, I think all petals should be called leaves and all leaves should be called petals, and I just can't get it right. So today, I'm on a roll. I'm doing good. This one bends right here. So I'm just going to fill this all the way in with yellow right there where that bend is. We'll work on the details of that later. I just want to show that little bend right there. And then we have some of these petals back here behind. And it's super simple, but see how I keep turning my page? As long as you're turning your page, your hand will stay comfortable, and the more comfortable your hand is, the better your brush strokes will be and the better your overall painting will turn out. If your hand is uncomfortable or tight or bound up, whatever, it's just not going to be fun, and your painting will come out looking kind of wonky or like you struggled, because you did. And you'll notice I'm not painting all the way to the end. I'm just getting the bottom half painted, basically. We'll come back later and do a little bit more. And I'm also going ahead and painting the leaves behind. There we go. That was the first time I did it. I called them leaves. There we go. See, I told you what happened. I'm painting the petals behind right there. And those ones I'm filling in more darkly, so I'm not leaving as much white space behind. Here's another one with a little curve on it. I'm trying to make sure this angle is better for you guys. I think I'm going to move this camera over slightly just so you guys can see. Oops. As long as I don't lose you on the camera. Okay. Sorry about that. Can you see now? That's what I get for fiddling. Just going to bring the camera over slightly because I think my hand is kind of in the way. Okay. You'll have to tell me if that looks a little better for you guys, lighting wise and all that. Okay. So now you can see I'm painting upside down. My truck is upside down because I keep going around in circles around this little flower. Paint the little end of this one, paint this one in. And as I explained on the demo of how to create the tracer, I leave intentional little spaces in between the petals, like as though one has fallen out or one has gotten a little squished or wonky or bent over or whatever, because sunflowers are really hard to actually keep perfect. I've been working in a florist shop part-time and getting some training on floral design, and they are difficult to keep nice. They lose petals very easily. So that's kind of frustrating for the floral designer, but really fun for a painter because it creates a really interesting looking flower. You don't have to be perfect to look really fun. Very funny. I'm glad you can see clearly now. Okay, so this yellow is just our first layer, and then we're going to layer on some darker colors. So once you get this whole first layer done, go ahead and let that dry. I'm going to just hop up here really quick on this really fun little banner we have and use the same yellow while we're at it and just paint in a couple of these little stems of leafy things. I don't really have a particular plant I'm making, just some little leafy things and little polka dots of color. I'm going to do some straight lines, like maybe like pieces of hay or something coming out from this little banner. And that's just to pull in those colors, and we'll do a little bit more later. But I want to kind of go up and down and add those in while I'm thinking about it. Okay, now we're going to grab a darker yellow. This is going to be the yellow ochre again. Tammy says she's watching me while making homemade pizza dough in the bread machine. Ooh, yum. Are you making it just for you, or do you have company coming? Okay, so now we're going to use this darker yellow, and this is not a mix of color. It is just yellow ochre, more pigmented. So we're just going to do that a little bit more pigmented. And starting at the bottom, add another layer of color. And this can be a lot quicker because we're not shaping the petals so much. We're just adding a layer of color. So this shouldn't take as long. Now on the back petals, sounds like I'm backpedaling. On the back petals, I'm going to do more of the darker yellow. So you should see more of that there. And then on these bends, I'm also going to put a little bit more. So wherever the petals bend over, I'm just filling them in totally with that color. So that they have a little bit more shadow there and they show up a little better. Okay, and then these back petals are going to fill in almost completely, dark like that. Us three for our family. Mary says she's eating her salad. Man, you guys are going to make me hungry. What kind of salad are you eating, Mary? Do you know that there are flowers you can put on salad? I mean, I'm sure you guys know that, but when I discovered there were pretty flowers that you can put on salads, I was like, what? Be so cute for a tea or something to have little bits of flowers on top of your salad. Be so cute. Like edible flowers. I'm not going to say which ones they are because I don't want anyone going out to their garden and eating a flower that I didn't know was actually poisonous and I said the wrong one. Maybe you guys know. Go Google it. Okay, so this one back here is not filled in yet. This is the first layer of color I'm putting on it. But I'm just using that solid yellow ochre color and then coming down here and doing a little bit more in this front petal. But you can see how those layers, the darker color and the lighter color, make the layers pop. Pop, pop, pop. Okay, now I'm going to look at my tracer because I'm losing the side of that a little bit. Where were those? Okay, so I think these are all straight up and down over here. Just going to do a couple going this way. I think these were just extra tall. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this orange color, which is, it's still the yellow ochre, but it's a little darker. I'm going to go ahead and bring it down below the other petals in that little triangle of space. I'm going to have that song stuck in my head. Mary says, my daily salad, every day is different. I'll show you a picture later. Hard-boiled eggs, yum. Sounds good. Sounds delicious. We had tea at our Bible study yesterday in the morning, and one of the ladies sliced her grapes, and they were so perfectly sliced. I said, how did you do that? They look so perfect. They were like sliced into like 5 slices. It was amazing. I don't know. That was impressive to me, I guess, because she sliced so many. So I assumed she must have some kind of fancy slicing thing. She goes, yeah, my super fancy knife. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess you can do that with a knife if you're talented or you have patience. So she had just sat there and sliced them all with the knife. But it was really cute to have sliced grapes on a salad. I thought it doesn't change the flavor at all, but the presentation and the texture and getting just a piece of a grape instead of a whole grape was really nice on our salad. Mary says, thank you for being our art mentor. Aw. Oh, oh no. Well, that would be so sad to get kicked out of a group. I'm glad that you get to watch. It's really great. No, she didn't even use an egg slicer. I thought it must be something like that, but she just used her knife. She was just a really good slicer, I guess. And she always has something yummy to bring, so that was nice. What's cool is her name is Del Rey, and I can never forget her name because my Nana used to always call me Marina Del Rey. So I say, we match, we're a pair. I love that nickname. Nobody calls me that anymore. They could, but she was the only one that did. I guess my mom does every once in a while, but it was my favorite nickname. Okay, so I'm almost all the way around. And then I'm going to add even more layers. It's amazing how many layers you can add before you're done. So I'm just making sure these petals in the back are getting filled in. You notice there's some back here that are darker. Just going to do that. Okay, now Oops, I missed one. Did you see the one I missed right here? A little bit more. Okay. Now what I'm going to focus on after I get this one done, but I'll tell you as I'm doing this what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to focus on getting some of the detail in so that the edges and points of the flower show up a little bit better. But before I do that, I'm going to take the color I just used, which is just the more heavily pigmented yellow, ochre. Tammy says she has an egg slicer. Yeah, I like those. Have you ever sliced strawberries with them? If you have a really stiff strawberry, it doesn't work, but sometimes it works. Okay, now I'm going to use this darker yellow ochre and just make some little dots and a little line, and a little line all the way down like that. Ta-da! Isn't that cute? Ah! Ah! I love it. Okay, so cute. So this one is going to have a little bit more of this little grasses kind of coming out. Oops, I painted the string. That's okay. So this one's going to come out also. I'm just using the very tip of my brush. If you don't have a brush that has a nice fine tip, or you aren't super confident with your brush control, just use a fine liner brush and that'll be much easier. Okay, so now we're almost there. We're getting there. We're going to add a little bit of dark shading, which a lot of you are always scared of using dark shading, but it's okay. It's what makes the light colors pop. So you'll notice even over here we have lots of dark shading in the pumpkins. It just makes those light areas pop a little bit more. So I'm going to actually grab my 20-aught liner brush, my master's touch here. Tammy says, Mary, come and join the art journaling class. It's such a blessing to be involved in the group. Thank you so much, Tammy. You're so sweet. As a matter of fact, if you hang out till the end, I'll tell you a great way that you can join, even if you're not a part of the group. Okay, so this is the liner brush I'm going to use. It has a nice fine tip. And I'm just going to start with my big brush to mix up my color, and then I'll switch to that brush. And this color is going to be this burnt sienna, which I really like. It's a deep kind of reddish color. And I'm going to get it really pigmented. This is number 53 in the palette we're using. And I just like to mix it with whatever I already have on the palette. So I've got some of that yellow still. I'm just going to let that mix in a little bit. Okay, and then clean my brush off. Okay, now I'm going to use my Tammy's talking about our paid group, which is a monthly membership. And then this is just a free class that I offer on Fridays, which is fun, open to the public. All right, so the color I've mixed up is right here. And it's just basically almost straight burnt sienna, but it has a little bit of the yellow still in it. Now we're going to use this mostly to outline the points of these little petals. So I'm going to kind of stick to the outside edges of each petal and work on just the very tips mostly. I just kind of want to get the points of those emphasized. And then I'm also going to do the base just to kind of complete the shading. And so you'll see how that kind of draws your eye to the tip. Oops. Can you guys hear me? All right. Okay, and then we'll come down to this petal. And I'm also using this to separate the petals. So I'm just coming along the side between the two petals to make sure they don't just blend into each other. So just kind of outlining the outer edges of them so that you can see how they're separate like that. And it doesn't take very much, so you want to be really gentle with your brush here. I'm going to kind of make some shading on the end of that one to create that little point that curves under and come up from the bottom again. And then just bring that up to the sides. Okay, sorry for the phone calls in the background. Like, you can tell there's multiple phones in the household. Okay, coming around this way with this one. And all you need really is some dark shading at the point and down the side, like this. Okay. Alrighty, if you can see that, see how these ones at the top, the ends of them are much more visible than these ones around the outside edge. That is what you're going for. If you have the really, really, really light colors only and you don't ever use those darker colors, some of your detail just washes out completely. And it just loses some of the detail that you could have. So it doesn't take a whole lot, but you can get that detail just with a little bit of extra, just a little tiny bit of extra work. So I'm just going to do that and then come around and do those ends especially. Some people are just super hesitant to use these dark colors, but the dark colors are necessary to create the contrast. And that's what makes your light colors look so bright and beautiful. It's all that dark. And on this layer, you really don't have to blend it in. As long as you're being careful with your brush strokes, you can just draw them almost like pencil or pen. They don't need to be blended in like your typical watercolor brush strokes are. You can just kind of do a couple of quick brush strokes. And down here at the bottom, it doesn't matter so much because we're going to fill in the center of this flower. So if your brush strokes are a little off or whatever, you can just let those be. But you do want to be careful on the edges of your petals that you don't make your lines too thick or be too heavy-handed with them. Like that. Okay. Alrighty. Tammy says, do you think you could do a demo using fan brushes? I am thinking about it. I have not done a lot with fan brushes at all, really, in watercolors. I'm not sure exactly what the best thing to do with them is. So I'm going to do a little research. And yeah, if I come up with something that looks fun for us to do, I will definitely do it. I just think it's really cool to have that extra tool available. For those of you that don't know, one of our art members, Valerie, she was super generous this past month, and she shipped us all some fan brushes, which I then shipped out to the ladies who needed them. And she also sent a lot of other watercolor brushes as well, very gently used art brushes. And the members who needed them or wanted them were able to choose which ones they wanted, which was really, really great and so generous of her and so sweet of her to think of us. And really, it was nice for a lot of the ladies who maybe don't know which brushes to get or just can't get access to them right away. So they got those in their happy mail, which was really fun to package up and send out to you guys. So I'm so glad. Thank you, Valerie, once again. Very generous, such a sweetie. We really appreciate her for donating those to the group. Yes, it was very sweet, Mary. Yeah. And it was just so nice of her to share it with the group. We have some of the most generous ladies in this group. I've been so impressed. I don't think anyone really lacks once we find, as soon as somebody finds out somebody doesn't have something, they end up with it very soon. So that's very nice. It's been really great. You guys are so sweet. Okay, so this is a little tedious, but isn't it worth it? Look at this sunflower, how it's just coming together. It takes a little time to do all of these little points. But look how much it just makes the whole sunflower brighten up and look so much more vibrant and beautiful. It's that little bit of extra shading. Down here at the bottom, I try to not worry about it too much because, like I said, I'm going to be filling in that oval with dark color, so my brush strokes don't need to be perfect on the bottom, but around here on the edges, I do slow down and make sure my outer edges are nice. If you would like a more in-depth demo, this is coming back around to what we were talking about earlier, but if you'd like a more in-depth demo, a really fun full art journaling page, we're actually going to be doing a beautiful page inspired by the Fear Not theme. At the end of the month, it's going to be a watercolor paint party open house. And anyone who would like to join, it's $15. And you just have your own supplies. We'll do it on Zoom. It's really easy to join. And then you'll get to paint with some of the art members as well. So we'd love to have you. That'll be toward the end of the month. And if you'd like more information, you can just send me a message and I can send you the invitation for that. That's going to be very, very soon, coming up at the end of the month. And it'll be a beautiful painting you can have up in your house throughout the month of November and the rest, obviously the rest of October, as it will be fall themed. And it will have a sunflower on it, which is going to be great. You guys will really enjoy that one. Okay, almost there with this one. I'm still using this tiny little brush because it just allows me to get those nice fine lines. And be careful around those edges. All right, there's our little sunflower. I'm loving this shape, you guys. It's so pretty. I'm just drawing in a little bit darker right there along those edges, but this is going to be open right here, so I'm not worried about that. Now I'm going to switch to my bigger brush. Yeah, Mary says the dark color makes the detail of the petals really pop. Yeah, and Tammy says pop it out. Yep, I think so. It really does. So now I'm going to grab my bigger brush again, and I'm going to grab a darker color. I like, as I said, I like to have my colors mix with whatever's on the palette. So I'm going to grab a darker brown, but I'm going to just drop it right into this red that I already have, and it's going to be number 52 brown. Mix that in real dark. And I'm just going to get it really pigmented, and the way you get more pigmented, for those of you that aren't familiar with watercolors, is to just scrub your brush around. And you can also use a brush that you don't care about as much if you're worried about hurting the bristles. But you basically just keep activating the watercolor cake until your paint gets thicker and thicker and thicker. And that's what you get. That's when you get more pigmented color. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of black because I always like for this to go a little darker. And that's what I'm going to use for the center of this flower. And I'm just going to go in kind of a sporadic motion all the way around. I really don't want to make it fully covered. I want to leave some white space behind. I have to kind of paint around that little petal first. Okay, so basically just doing some quick brush strokes. I'm going to fill this in a little bit more. There we go. So quick, kind of sporadic brush strokes in sort of a swirly motion. I know you guys can't probably see it, but my hands are kind of doing this. I'm just kind of shaking my hand so that it can make all these little swirly motions across. And I'm being more careful toward the edges, but I'm just going to let it be what it is all the way around. Like that. And then as I get closer to the center, I can get a little bit more wide with my brush strokes. I'm going to get a little bit more black because I can tell my color's getting faded. Add a little bit more water. You don't want to add a ton of water when you're working with black because you really don't want the paper to show through. Black is one of the few watercolor colors that you don't want to be transparent. So you kind of want to be careful not to accidentally lose that dark pigmentation. Basically, that's all. I'm going to go a little darker on the left-hand side, cover up a little bit more of the white space, and then take a little more of the burnt sienna and get that real pigmented color and drop in some of that darker red. I'm just going to use some of that red over on the left-hand side a little bit more to give that a little bit more color, like that. I'm just kind of backing up and looking for areas where I can make this look a little more full. Looks like I've got quite a bit of yellow filled in over on this side. So I'm just going to darken those up a little bit just to show petals in the front a little better. If that makes sense. So the petals in the front are lighter, and if I don't make them look lighter, they'll just disappear. So I've got to kind of emphasize them a little bit. It looks like we're kind of heavy on extra petals over here and a little light on them over here, so I'm going to even that out. Darken up some of the ones over here. Maybe even add a few on this side. There we go. I'm going to add one right here as well. Just kind of filling in a little bit of it without totally filling in the background. There we go. That's what I wanted. It's a little less space behind there. Sometimes you don't even have to paint a full petal shape. Just kind of fill in the color and make it look a little fuller. All right, that's looking pretty good. I want to take some of this red and draw some branches and things over here with it. I'm going to do a little round leaf there and there. And this is not red, it's the burnt sienna, but it has that reddish tone to it. Do another one right there. Perfect. And now I'm going to grab a deep green color. This is going to be Brilliant Green. Has a nice, rich tone to it. I'm going to add some black to it. So I'm actually just going to keep that. Oops, I just realized you can't see what color I'm making. Hey, Terry, good to see you. So this is Brilliant Green mixed with black. Hey, Terry, are you home? I saw you were on a plane. I'm not sure if she's home yet. All right, and now last but not least, we're just going to add some leaves coming out from the back of this painting. And these can be as detailed or as simple as you want. I'm going to keep them fairly simple. Just draw a little bent leaf here. And you kind of have to paint your leaves around your petals. So it takes a little bit of time to get your petals straight. And I like for my leaves to be a little bit rough on the edges, but that's just personal preference. And now I'm going to do one down here, very simple. Just kind of paint around the petal as I go, and then fill in the rest of the leaf. Got to get a little bit more color on my brush. And I like to paint the outer edge of the petal or the leaf first, and then just fill it in like that. I'm just going to leave the end of it kind of open. And then take the same color and water it down. Just really water it down like a light gray green. And I'm going to take that color and just do some really light colored leaves underneath. They're just going to be like a hint of a leaf. Like that. And maybe a little bit of green back here. Hope I didn't freeze up. Okay, there we go. I think I'm back. Just like that. A little bit of green to fill in the extra white space back here. Okay. I'm going to do a little bit darker color here. And this is just to balance the other side. It's not really super necessary. And then just for fun, I like to use this darker green black color. And I'm just going to do some little swirly bits. In the fall time, it's fun to do little extra little viney things. And you can just pretend they're something real, because they're just something whimsical and fun. I don't know. Terry says she was home late Monday night. Oh, let's see. So you've been home several days and I didn't know it. You know, I came to your house thinking you were there and you weren't there yet. Did you know that? I bet your mom told you. Couldn't figure out what day you were going to be home. So I showed up on the wrong day. So sad. Okay. I'm going to do another one from here. I also feel like these little curly things can balance out like empty white space. If you're thinking, oh, my thing looks a little off, there needs to be some more space, more something somewhere. You can use those to fill in space. Okay, I'm going to back us up just a little bit. And then we'll finish off with this little banner at the top. All right, I'm going to use a light brown. Actually, I think I'm going to go with this green. I'm going to go with this green. And I'm just going to use that for these darker leaves right here, which I think are really cute. So it's a couple of little branches of dark leaves. Maybe one over here I can just add. And then down this way. Okay, so there's my little green that pulls in the green. And then I like for my 2 pages to match. Terry says LOL didn't want to come by. I'm not sure what you mean. Did I say I didn't want to come by? Or did you say you didn't want to come by when I was there? Because you were in another state. Mary says, that's pretty. Thank you. Yes, Terry, today is Friday. Oh, Terry says she didn't want to come back. Okay, I'm like, I don't know what you mean by that. Hey, I don't blame you. I heard it was really nice. Plus all those pictures. Goodness, it's making me jealous. All right, we're going to use this teal blue that I used over here on this truck, and I'm going to pull it in over here on this banner. I'm just going to use it very lightly at the top here. We use the light blue, and this is number 89 Azurite Blue as usual. It's my go-to. Love that color. And I'm going to use it back here as well on the ribbon face, the face of the ribbon. And you notice I skipped the part where it bent backwards because we're going to go darker right there. And this part is going to be that lighter blue as well. And I'm just going to take that same color and use some darker shading to go along the edges, and all I did was add a little bit of green to it to make it a little darker. Shade those darker edges. Kind of go around the edges a little bit. You don't have to do this, but I like the little extra shading. And then I'm going to take the Azurite Blue and the green we already have on the palette. So that looks like this. Mix it up nice and dark. And then this is going to be on the backwards bend. So this little curvy shape right here can be nice and dark. Like that. There's our nice dark shading going backwards like that. And now I'm going to take my pen and we're going to write our verse. So I'm going to actually say be strong here. So this is the part of the show where Marina stops talking, because if Marina talks while she writes, she misspells words on live. So talk amongst yourselves, because now I'm going to write. This is the beginning of this verse, be strong. I'm also using a Fudenosuke Tombow soft tip today, actually. I usually like the hard tip better. I just decided to go with this one today. Be strong. And now I'm going to use my little stencil, which I absolutely love. I use it all the time to create some straight lines that make it easier for me to write. I'm just going to line this up right here. Ta-da! Be strong. And I also have started a little bit into the verse, but I'm just going to keep going. Whoops. Be strong. And have a good courage. And I'm going to put this bigger. Be not afraid. Neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee. Whithersoever. Wherever. I love that word, whithersoever. Okay, be strong and of a good courage, be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. And it's Joshua 1 verse 9. Does anyone know someone named that must just think, I want my kid to be ultra powerful and like not necessarily powerful in of themselves, but just like submitted to God. Really, really, what a great name. Anyway, super cool name. I'm going to erase my darkest lines and then I'll show you the whole page. Mary, good question. Hang on. Okay. I'm losing track of comments. So Mary asked, where did I get this stencil? This stencil came in a pack of, they were stencils that are an insert into your journal. So they had like a 3-hole punch and they would pop into those like replaceable inserts in your journal. And so it was a full page actually of stencils. As a matter of fact, I have, let me just show you the other ones that look like it. If I have access to those. I think I did. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean. This is what they looked like. Let me put this camera like this now. Okay. Ooh, it's weird to be on the right-hand side. Let me go this way. Okay, so this is what they looked like. And they would pop in to those journals that have, I guess it's a 6-ring binder journal. And this is the other ones that came with it. But here's one that I cut in half because this was on the bottom of it. So I just cut it off with scissors and it makes a perfect little stencil. It's the only stencil with this width of line, and that's why I like it so much. So I just went ahead and cut it down, and I really like it. I use it all the time. I highly recommend you get one if you want to make your art journaling look straighter and nicer all the time. It just instantly upgrades your art journaling. Let me see, I missed some comments. Yeah, so LOL back. Yeah, Terry. Terry thought today was Thursday. She says, ha. Oh, Mary says, ha, then she wouldn't be doing 15-Minute Friday. And Terry says, that's what clued me in. You guys are so funny. I love that you went ahead and talked amongst yourselves while I was trying to write because I was not following the comments. Okay, let me go ahead and I'm going to take this off of here. And I'm just going to hold this up for you guys to see. This is the final page. If you see them both together, I always like for my art journal pages on both sides to match. But isn't that a beautiful little sunflower right there with the verse, be strong, and then we use the blue on this page to match the blue on this page. So now I've got a great 2-page spread. I'm all about both pages matching really, really well. So that's all I have for you guys today. And again, I wanted to give you guys one more reminder. Actually, let me put this back up here in case anybody wants to see that final picture. There's the sunflower for you guys. But I wanted to give you guys a reminder. If you did not catch it earlier, I'm going to be having a open house paint party inside the Artworthy Journal Club that's open to the public. If you'd like to join, it's $15 for the class. And we're going to be doing a beautiful wreath with some sunflowers on it. And it will be according to our Fear Not theme. So if you want a beautiful painting, a great watercolor demonstration on how to do some beautiful fall floral designs, then join us. This will be at the end of the month. I'll give you more details as you go, but if you're interested at all, or you're even just a little tiny bit interested in joining us on Zoom, send me a message or comment on this video and I will get the rest of the information to you. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone you think would enjoy it. Join me every Friday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, 12:30 Eastern, 1:30 Central. I'm sorry, that was backward. 12:30 Central, 1:30 Eastern. You can read the thing if I didn't say it right. Right here on Artworthy Life for a full art journal demo from start to finish every Friday. Alrighty, take care, everybody. God bless, and thank you for watching.